Okay, so what type of drinker are you? I speak to a lot of people who are very much like me, and so I hear those people in a room full of people. I always hear the people go, "Oh, I've got no off switch." And I go, "Yeah, that was me." But there are more types of drinker like that than that, aren't there?
Yes. I mean, would you say you're more of the extreme sport drinker? You'd go for the to get kind of paralytic
I
or
I had got to extreme sport near the end because I was
mm,
in some sort of cycle of trying to push myself to some sort of limit, not knowing where I was. I was
mm,
sort of pushing myself to come off an edge. So it wasn't that I was making great play of it in the pub, going, aha, I can drink you all under the table, because that's also quite a masculine
mm,
behaviour. But I was certainly pushing myself and seeing how much I could drink, and that was linked to my off switch. But my off switch was always not really
mm,
there. But I also did drink quite a lot on my own, so it
mm.
wasn't always in a pub.
And I think I work in the NHS in the UK or as part of it, and a lot of the people I work with came to their drinking problem through using it to manage their feelings and emotions. That could be emotions like grief that maybe are temporary, but also more permanent mental health problems like anxiety, depression, phobias, and OCD and trauma. So I see more of the feelings and moods types of drinkers, and I think that's reasonably common. And you could say that loneliness is a mood, tiredness is a mood, and people often drink for those reasons.
Yeah, and my drinking was always quite high, and then when I got into a job that didn't give me any feeling of value,
Mm,
that tipped over. So I was probably a bit of an emotional drinker at that point
mm,
in time, having some issues around self-esteem,
mm,
and using it as an extreme sport, and having probably a bit of a genetic load because my dad was a big drinker too. So
mm.
altogether, that became a combustible, I guess,
Yeah.
situation.
Well, yes, and I think we learn early on that alcohol, it's a mind-altering, mood-altering substance. It affects our brain chemistry. Um, it's not just a liquid that tastes a certain flavour. It does something to the brain. So we learn quite early on with our first few drinks that it does something to our head and it can take us to a different place. So in a way, everyone's using it to manage their moods and emotions because they know it will change their mood and emotion in some way. But there's also, currently alcohol is legal, available, relatively cheap, widely acceptable. So there are people who just have become habitual social drinkers. They may go for a drink every day after work. Certainly, many of the men I work with who are in the sort of building trade, um, that's just part and parcel of their job. They will finish a very hard day's work,
Yeah.
drink at the end of it. It's where they get work if they're out of work. It's where they give and receive pay at the end of a day. And it's where they just unwind from really hard day's work, and everyone around them's doing the same, and it just becomes a socially acceptable drinking.
And I guess a lot of people also talk about the fact that it's what they do when they get home from work after a stressful day. So that's exactly the same thing.
Mm,
Or after the kids have gone to bed as a
mm,
reward. And so we see it not only as reducing stress, but also as being a reward. So we're loading alcohol with so many magical properties
mm.
that we forget about all the things that it can do that actually makes those things worse, ultimately.
Absolutely. And it's all dressed up, isn't it? Because our bodies don't really care how it gets its ethanol. It could be in Baileys, it could be in wine, it could be in beer, it could be in whatever. And you could be spending a heck of a lot of money on it or not very much at all because it's available at every price point. But it's just a way of dressing up the ethanol to create different situations. And
I guess how we dress it up in our mind is one way, but our body processes it exactly the
yeah,
same way.
absolutely.
Whether it's a bit like when you drop a plate of food, which I do often, and we go, it doesn't matter because it all goes down the same way. And it's the same with alcohol, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what reason you've put it in your mouth for,
Mm,
your body still processes it the same way. It still has the same impact.
mm.
Oh, it's quite depressing.
Yeah.
There's
But
no good reason to drink.
no, but I think the body understands different kinds of chocolate taste
Oh,
different,
do
and they're
you?
nice. Yeah, I
Do
think.
you?
Yeah, yeah.
Do
I
you
hope
think
so.
you're dressing up your chocolate addiction?
Yes, of
You
course.
see how we do it? How the mind plays
Yeah,
tricks? You should see someone about that, Helen.
might do. Might
Yeah,
speak to a
I think
psychologist
so.
about that.